The Wolves and Witches of Salem by Amber Withers. Chapter 2. To Follow the Beast. Ivy? I hear my name, but with my earphones in, I blissfully play ignorant. Ivy. Maybe I should have been playing some music. I try hard to focus on my reading. My head flops forward as I feel a pillow collide with it. For the sake of not insulting the goddess, what the hell do you want? I snap, whipping my head around to see my little sister with her hands on her hips near one of Mother's Chesterfield chairs. Jasmine has always been one for flair. Auntie is here. Mother wants you to join us downstairs as soon as you can. The maturity in which she speaks sometimes doesn't belong in the mouth of a 15-year-old, but I was also quite mature at her age. She turns heel and heads out of the upstairs study. Looking back to the table in front of me, my tarot cards spoke of an interesting story. I've only been practicing my readings for the last few months, but I'm a quick study. The cards are forewarning me of a perilous task ahead of me, a wounded heart, death, and rebirth. I wasn't very good at interpreting them yet, but it was the fourth time in a row I had drawn the same story from these enchanted pieces of cardboard. Shaking my head of the thoughts, I stand and check myself in the dark window reflection. Even though I didn't go out today, I still braided my hair into pigtails, and its redness was easy to see, but that wasn't the most important piece in my arsenal. Underneath my shirt I touch the spot on my chest and feel the pendant sitting there. It's an important relic to me, not something I've been without for years. Its flat round surface made me feel comforted and safe. Taking the long narrow steps downstairs, I see the back of my sister's curly auburn hair blocking my auntie's face. As I get to the bottom of the stairs, she moves out of the way. I've always looked up to my aunt. If it weren't for our cause, I believe she could have been a model with her light skin, dazzling dark hair and chiseled cheekbones. There's my little poison berry. Hello, Aunt Clover. I smile. She embraces me with a tight hug. Oh, wow, we only saw each other a few days ago. I comment. Yes, but I caught myself in a nightmare time loop. It's been months for me, dear. It's not the first time her nightmare has made her believe she's been away from our reality for months, even years. I do worry about her sometimes, but I have to get used to it. Ivy? Mother's voice calls to me from the living room. Finding my way down the hall, I can see that she and the rest of the coven are here tonight. My grandma is present, of course, since she is our elder, and 8 other women are sitting close by the fire to stay warm. I must admit it is a cool night. Come, sit by Flora. Of all the people in my coven, I liked Flora the least, but she is incredibly bright. My mother stands in front of the doorway in full glow of the fire as she addresses everyone. Blessed be, sisters. In response, in unison we all say, Blessed be. As you all know, it has been some time since we have been able to accurately determine an attack. Those wolves have struck once again, 3 times this passing full moon to be exact. There are a few that begin to look around the room to gauge reactions. So, in order to assess the situation, a few of us will be traveling to a new town to investigate. I have been accepted as a guest speaker at the Historical Society for a few months whilst training others to take over the position. My sister Clover and my daughters will come with me. I need others who have the time to volunteer to come with us. As additional cover, both my daughters will be attending school there. I groan at the news I have been dreading. I was hoping they wouldn't accept me so I didn't have to attend their school and just keep being homeschooled over there. Well, at least Jasmine will also be in school with me. Unbelievable. Some people aren't smart enough to avoid being eaten by a werewolf, and I end up at a high school due to their idiocy. Flora chuckles quietly beside me at my obvious discomfort, so I elbow her in the ribs. She doesn't react much, but she continues the conversation. Where were the victims found? In Salem. That got everyone bustling with varying questions. Our kind haven't been in Salem for nearly 2 decades, not since the abundance of demonic forces agreed to keep the peace amongst themselves and humans under the condition that witches were to leave. Going back could cause some major issues. Under no circumstances do we reveal ourselves unless it is absolutely necessary. Hence, the pretenses. What if something else figures out you're there? My coven sister Patricia, still warming her hands with the fire, decides to chip in. Are you prepared to do what must be done to protect yourselves? If you're talking about the mongrels that kicked us out of Salem, I interject, my voice dripping with confidence, trust me, I'm more than prepared. The fire flickers outward into the den, many of my sisters leaning backward as it does. I try very hard to control my anger, but it's not easy when there's open flames around. Ivy, Grandma admonishes, and when I look at her she takes in an exaggerated breath, wanting me to do the same. She has been trying to help me control my anger, since when a witch becomes angry our powers go haywire. And she says I'm too old to not know how to control both my angry outbursts and my powers. Knowing how the drill goes, I let out a frustrated sigh and envisioned my anger melting off me, dripping on the hardwood floor like wax burning off a candle. Taking in a few deep breaths with my eyes closed, I focus on the silence of the room and can feel the rage that was boiling up at the mention of those disgusting wolves starting to disintegrate, joining the wax on the floor. I open my eyes and my grandma looks at the fire pit, flames now significantly smaller. They have now resumed their natural gentle dance. Since they are no longer fueled by my magic, they don't extend towards the women sitting by it, making them all relax and go back to their original sitting positions. Grandma looks back at me and nods in approval. I muttered an apology that my mother acknowledged before continuing the meeting. We all are, or I wouldn't entertain the idea of stepping foot in that town. Even our youngest coven member, Jasmine, is excelling in her training and proving to be a formidable young witch. Mom says while looking at her youngest, eyes betraying how proud she is that Jasmine has exceeded everyone's expectations. Jasmine smiles back at her, preening under her approval. Mother, would you like to talk about the ritual? Mom asks Grandma, turning away from Jasmine and looking at her instead. Yes, thank you, dear. Mom takes a seat as Grandma stands to address the room. What ritual are they talking about? Mom hadn't mentioned anything about rituals or spells when she announced her plans to investigate the murders. In fact, she specifically informed us that we were not to use magic there unless it was a matter of our survival and safety. Sisters, in order for my daughters and granddaughters to be safe and find the wolves responsible for these hideous crimes quickly and effectively, they are to perform the ritual of the Vey upon their arrival. Now I understand why Mom wanted our elder to explain this instead of doing it herself. They want to perform a truth ritual in a town where witches are not only forbidden but flat out executed if they are discovered. The effect was immediate. A sudden wave of upset erupted in the room. All the other women that were calmly sitting down earlier are now objecting to the idea fiercely. Some were frantically talking amongst themselves while others were shouting how bad of an idea that was out loud. They were attempting to change my grandma's mind, because even though the coven puts most of the big decisions down to a majority vote like all covens do, the elder has the final say in all matters involving the well-being of the coven. Sisters, please let's all calm down. I understand why you are upset and concerned. But my daughters and I have discussed this extensively and have concluded that it is for the best that we perform the ritual. It will help loosen any secrets in the town, and that will help uncover the wolves' whereabouts faster than if we just investigated without its assistance. The idea is that as soon as they get there, my daughters and Ivy will perform the ritual while Jasmine performs an enchantment to prevent their magic from being detected during the ritual. The unveiling will help them discover any important information quickly to be able to take care of the offenders faster and leave without having to remain in that forsaken town longer than necessary, Grandma explains calmly. But if you're unsettled by it, we can put it up to a vote, she continues. When no one indicated they desired to put it up to a vote since Grandma's reassurance worked enough to quell their concerns, the meeting moved on to the next topic regarding the move. I'm confident in our abilities. I know my mom and aunt can do the ritual, and I also know it well, even though I never performed it myself. I'm confident because I trust them to guide me if I misstep during it. I also know Jasmine is more than capable of shielding our magic so as to not be detected during the casting of the ritual. But what's to stop the werewolves from sensing the magic once the ritual is completed?